The screen fades from black, the sound of wind brushing through golden wheat fields filling the air before the camera slowly pans to a man, tall, broad, and heavyset, his skin glistening beneath the morning sun. His hands are rough, worn from years of work, yet steady as he grips a wooden handle of a hoe. His name is Malcolm Reed, a quiet farmer living on the edge of a small southern town where everyone knows everyone, and everyone has an opinion about him. "Fat man don't move fast, but he sure works hard," the local grocer had once said, chuckling as Malcolm walked by. But no one really knew Malcolm, not the preacher, not the sheriff, not even his nosy neighbor Martha, who peeked out her window every morning with her coffee cup trembling in her hand. Nobody in that town knew that beneath that calm, humble exterior lived a man who once wore the uniform of a Navy SEAL, a man who had stared death in the face, a man who had lost brothers in battle and carried scars deeper than any could see. If you're watching this right now, then you dare scroll, because this is not just a story about a man and his farm. It's a story about dignity, justice, and what happens when you push the wrong man too far. Hit that subscribe button and stick around, because by the end you will see why never judging a book by its cover might just save your life one day. Malcolm's farm sat at the end of a long dirt road that most people avoided unless they were delivering feed or looking for trouble. The house was old, the porch creaked, and his barn smelled of hay and diesel, but it was his sanctuary. After serving 12 years overseas, he had traded his rifle for a plow, his combat boots for muddy work boots, and his uniform for denim overalls. The quiet was his therapy. Each sunrise reminded him he was still alive, still standing, still free. But peace never lasts long in a town that feeds off gossip and hate. It started with whispers. Folks in town said Malcolm's land used to belong to the Hensley family, an old white family with deep roots and deeper pride. Their youngest son, Travis Hensley, was known as a hothead, always at the bar, always looking for a fight. And when his daddy died, leaving behind debt and shame, Travis found someone to blame, the fat black farmer who now owned what was once their land. The anger simmered until it turned into a plan, and that plan began one humid Friday night when Malcolm drove into town to sell his vegetables at the farmer's market. "Hey, big man!" Travis shouted from the shadows near his pickup truck. He was with 3 of his buddies, Dale, Ricky, and Colt, all drunk. All grinning that mean grin men wear when they've convinced themselves they're right. "Heard you got yourself some of our land?" Malcolm didn't even turn his head. He loaded his last crate of tomatoes into his old Ford and said calmly, "Ain't nobody's land but the Lord's." Travis stepped forward, beer bottle in hand. "You saying my daddy's land belongs to your kind now?" he sneered. Malcolm sighed, his patience steady like the wind before a storm. "I'm saying your daddy sold it fair and square, son. You ought to make peace with that. That should have been the end of it, but hate doesn't need a reason to grow. Just an excuse." As Malcolm drove home, the gang followed him down the dirt road, their headlights flashing in his rearview mirror like angry eyes. He slowed, hoping they'd pass. They didn't. He pulled up to his gate, stepped out, and faced them head-on. "You boys got something to say. Say it now," he said, voice calm but eyes sharp. Travis spit on the ground. "You think you can just live here like you belong?" Malcolm's silence made them angrier. Dale threw the first bottle. It shattered against the fence post. "Get off this land, old man," Ricky yelled, but Malcolm didn't move. "I fought for this country," he said quietly. "I bled for it, and I'll be damned if I let hate take what's mine again." His words hit like thunder, and for a moment even the crickets went silent. The gang laughed, but deep down, something in Travis's gut twisted with unease. For the next few weeks, things got worse. Someone slashed Malcolm's tires. His barn door was tagged with the words, "Go home." One night, his crops were trampled. Acres of corn flattened like a battlefield. Malcolm reported it to the sheriff, but Sheriff Canner just shrugged. "Boys'll be boys, Malcolm," he said. "Don't stir trouble," but Malcolm knew trouble was already stirring, not just in the town, but inside him. The soldier in him, the one he had buried beneath the soil, began to wake. He started noticing small things. The same truck parked down the road at odd hours, footprints near his chicken coop, a smell of gasoline in the air. He set up a motion camera on his porch, hid his old hunting knife behind a feed barrel, and waited. Nights grew colder, quieter. The piece he had built was cracking, and beneath it was something dark and familiar, the instinct of a man trained to survive. He thought about his past, the missions in Fallujah, the ambushes in the desert, the brothers he lost to IEDs. Violence don't solve everything, his old commanding officer used to say, but sometimes it's the only language evil understands. Malcolm prayed he wouldn't have to speak that language again. One night, just after midnight, the dog started barking, deep, frantic barks that sent a chill through the air. Malcolm stepped onto the porch, flashlight in hand. The beam cut through the dark, catching movement by the barn. "Who's there?" He called out. No answer. Then, a sound of footsteps, quick and heavy. He moved closer, heart steady, not from fear, but focus. The door to the barn creaked. Suddenly, a shadow lunged at him. He swung the flashlight hard, connecting with the skull. A groan, then silence. He dragged the man into the moonlight. It was Dale, unconscious, a gas can beside him. Before Malcolm could process, headlights flared. Travis and the others were there, shouting, laughing, brandishing chains and bats. "You messed with the wrong folks, old man," Travis yelled. Malcolm dropped the flashlight and took a deep breath. "No," he said softly. "You did." The fight that followed wasn't a fight. It was a warning. Travis swung a bat. Malcolm dodged, countered with a blow to the ribs, sending him sprawling. Ricky charged with a chain. Malcolm sidestepped, yanked it free, and sent him crashing into the dirt. Colt hesitated. He saw something in Malcolm's eyes, something cold, disciplined, trained. You ain't just some farmer," he stammered. Malcolm stared him down, chest heaving. "You don't want to know what I used to be," he said. The gang scattered, dragging Dale with them, but not before Travis spat out. "This ain't over, old man. We'll burn it all." As their truck disappeared into the night, Malcolm sank to his knees, trembling, not from exhaustion, but from the weight of what he had unleashed. The man he had tried to bury was back, and the peace he loved was gone. By dawn, word had spread through town that Malcolm Reed had attacked 4 men. Sheriff Tanner showed up again, looking uneasy. "Folks saying you went wild last night," he muttered. Malcolm didn't argue. He showed Tanner the gas can, the footprints, the motion camera footage, proof of what really happened. But the sheriff's face told the truth. Justice here didn't wear the same color on everyone. "You best lay low, Malcolm," he said. "These boys got kin all over this county." Malcolm stared out at his ruined barn, his jaw tight. "Let them come," he said. That day, as he repaired what he could, the wind carried more than dust. It carried a message. The same hate that had followed him home from war, the same injustice he had seen in foreign lands, was now standing on his doorstep. He knew this wasn't over. Somewhere deep inside, a voice whispered, "If they want war, give them one they'll never forget." But another voice, softer, pleaded, "Don't lose yourself again, Malcolm. You came here to heal." As the sun dipped behind the hills, Malcolm sat on his porch, shotgun by his side, dogs resting at his feet. The sky turned red, and he thought about his mother, her voice reminding him that evil only wins when good men do nothing. He had done nothing for too long. The wind rustled the wheat like a warning, and Malcolm Reed, the farmer who only wanted peace, finally understood. Peace must sometimes be protected by the very hands that once broke it. And as night fell, a single pair of headlights appeared at the end of the road again, creeping closer. Rain hammered against the tin roof of the county jail as Travis Hensley sat on the narrow cot, staring at the cracks on the concrete wall like they were maps to his rage. The memory of that night, Malcolm standing tall with the shotgun, Sarah filming, the sheriff watching, looped through his head like a broken reel. "He made me a damn fool," he muttered, clenching his fists until his knuckles turned white. Across the cell block, another inmate snorted. "You got your butt kicked by a farmer, huh?" Travis glared. "That ain't no farmer," he said through gritted teeth. "That man's a soldier." The words burned coming out. It wasn't just humiliation that ate at him, it was fear. For the first time, Travis had looked into a man's eyes and seen something he couldn't scare. Something that had stared down death before. Meanwhile, life on the farm began to heal, but slowly. The rain washed the ashes from the burned fence, and the crops, though damaged, still stood. Malcolm moved through his fields like a man patching up his own soul, step by step, row by row. Folks who once avoided him started stopping by, bringing pies, tools, even an extra pair of hands. "We were wrong about you," one old man said awkwardly, hat in hand. Malcolm nodded, saying only, "Better late than never." Sarah came often, helping him repair the barn roof or feed the animals. She'd become part of his routine, though he'd never admit it. One afternoon, as they fixed the windmill, she asked quietly, "You ever think about going back to the Navy?" He smiled faintly. "Ain't nothing left there for me but ghosts." She looked at him carefully. "Maybe facing those ghosts is the only way you'll be free of them?" He didn't answer, but her words lingered. At the diner in town, however, not everyone was ready to move on. Men whispered over coffee, women gossiped by the window. "He's trouble," some said. "That reporter's stirring up nonsense," others added. Sheriff Tanner tried to calm it down, but he could feel the undercurrent resentment that their small, sleepy town was now on national news for all the wrong reasons. When Sarah's video went viral online, reporters started calling. "Hero farmer defends his land," the headlines read. For every comment praising Malcolm, there was another filled with venom. "Figures," one read. "Pull the race card again." The sheriff printed them out, tossing them into his drawer, muttering, "World loves a story till it don't." But one letter didn't come by email or mail. It came from the prison warden. Late one night, Sheriff Tanner got a call. "Travis Hensley's being released early," the voice said. Lawyers argued it was excessive force on Malcolm's part. Technicality. Judge agreed. Tanner's heart sank. "You can't be serious." "Already signed," the warden said. "He'll be out by morning." Tanner slammed the phone down, whispering, "God help us." When Malcolm heard, he didn't flinch, but a shadow crossed his face. "So it begins again," he murmured. Sarah was furious. "He tried to kill you, and they let him out?" Malcolm just shrugged. "Ain't the first time justice came late." That night he walked the perimeter of his land again, flashlight sweeping through the dark. Every creak, every whisper of the trees reminded him that peace was fragile. He didn't want war, but he wouldn't be caught unprepared. A week passed. The air grew colder. One evening, Sarah arrived with news. "He's not staying in town," she said breathlessly. "Travis left with two of the others. Dale's gone missing." Malcolm set down his tools. "Missing?" "Yeah," she said. "No one's seen him since he got out." "Folks think he left the state." Malcolm frowned. "No," he said quietly. "He didn't leave. He's planning." Sarah felt a chill. "How can you be sure?" He looked out at the horizon where the sun was bleeding into the clouds. "Because that's what I do." He was right. In a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town, Travis sat at a table with Colt and Ricky, the smell of oil and cigarettes heavy in the air. A map of Malcolm's farm lay spread before them. "We don't go loud this time," Travis said. "No fire, no cameras. We make it quiet." Colt looked uneasy. "Man, I ain't going back to jail." "Then don't get caught," Travis growled. "We wait till he's asleep, in and out." "He don't wake up again." Ricky shifted nervously. "What about that reporter chick?" Travis smirked. "Maybe we teach her to keep her mouth shut, too." As the night deepened, Malcolm sat by the fireplace, lost in thought. He stared at the old photograph of his SEAL Team 8 men, all smiling, all gone now. His best friend, Andre Lewis, had died in an ambush overseas, saving Malcolm's life. Not a day went by that he didn't think about it. Sometimes, in the quiet, he still heard Andre's voice. "You can't save everybody, Mac, but you can protect the ones you got left." He rubbed his temples, whispering, "I'm trying, brother." Outside, thunder rolled across the hills. The dogs began barking again, short, sharp barks that made Malcolm stand. He opened the door and froze. On the fence, a crow sat staring at him, a small piece of red cloth tied to its leg. He frowned, stepping closer. There was a scrap from Travis's old bandana, a warning. He looked toward the woods beyond his fields. "Come on, then," he said under his breath. He went back inside, turned off the lights, and waited,